Welcome on back to the Alvernia Campus Show finale.
My name is Trevor Spolin, and to my left is
Kyle Rudart, and to my left is
Ben Howland, and behind me is
Kaylee Klimas, and to my right is
Aiden Bobenwarrior, and to my right is
Anthony Florkowski, and to my right is
Elena Palm, and to my right is
Hector Malavin.
Let's see
what kind of true news they have for us today.
In a stunning pay-per-view showdown at the Sydney Opera House, Chris Shipley knocked out Ian Dumas in the 7th round, claiming a dramatic victory in front of a sold-out crowd. Ian just made it out of the 6th round before being KO'd in the 7th with a mean right hook. The unique venue added excitement to an already electrifying night of boxing. Proceeds from the event will benefit youth sports and art programs across Australia.
A huge swarm of gnats has taken over the Alvernia quad, forcing the school to cancel finals week and declare the area uninhabitable. Students have taken refuge indoors, finals are off the table, and no one has seen hammocks in days. The gnats are in full control, and unfortunately it looks like students won't be playing spike ball or tanning.
I think something stinks in here!
I love the smell of flowers.
Yeah? How do you like the smell of flames?
Everyone is talking about one thing of great importance, Ian Dumas's new haircut. It is turning heads and people cannot help but stare. But some people do not like this new and improved Ian. Campus Show writer Aiden Bobenwarrior was brave enough to stand up to the Dumas. He was compared to Ian Heacock's of Smosh, which Ian took very, very personally. Allegedly, and now I'm saying allegedly, Aiden is now speaking to camels and is trying to find some water because he is now in the Sahara Desert. All allegedly, of course. Right, Ian?
Allegedly, I hear.
After years of students complaining, ranting, and dramatically sighing at shuttle stops, Alvernia has finally had enough and decided to replace the entire shuttle system with electric scooters. Starting next semester, instead of wondering if the shuttle is just 5 more minutes away for the 6th time, students can now scoot between main campus and College Town like caffeinated mall cops. Now there's no need to wait, just wobble and go. Helmets are recommended, but if you're holding on to a coffee from College Town, good luck.
former director, writer, and a moment with interviewee, Anthony Parsons, has contracted the sequel to COVID-19, COVID-20. All we have for final contact with Anthony is this picture. We have no idea where he is or how he has been doing, but we can hope and pray for his safety. The symptoms of COVID-20 are a little different from COVID-19, which include speaking in a fluent enchantment table, a runny nose, dental hypoplosion, and hating puppies and kittens. Sounds like a rough one. Scientists have attributed COVID-20 to that of a stellar attendance, or lack thereof. We assume that our current anchor, Braden Livingston, has the second case due to this fact. We urge that everybody mask up like it's 2020 and socially distance at a minimum of 20 feet. Stay in school, everybody, or it can affect you too.
Next semester, the campus show is being replaced by ChatGPT. Instead of running cameras or editing footage, we'll just sit back while it writes the scripts, runs the show, and probably wins an Emmy. At this rate, I'm not sure if I'm a student or just an unpaid assistant to a chatbot with better time management.
Aeromark, Alvernia's exciting new replacement to the less than favorable Aladdin, has already been fired on day one for giving President Glynis Fitzgerald food poisoning from a dinosaur chicken nugget.
You're fired.
In this time of darkness, our Amish friends to the south have provided us with light. Popular Amish market and smorgasbord, Shady Maple, will be taking over the dining hall, with live goats, cows, and chickens now present at every meal. On the Sabbath, when the Amish are resting, Hungry Man frozen dinners will be handed out instead.
And now it's time for Learning Spanish with Hector.
Hace una semana, el creador de TikTok, Daniel con L, compartió que tuvo que cambiar sus accesorios dorados por plateados. ¿Por qué? porque el novio de la boda, Fernando, dijo que todos los invitados deberían de usar plata para que el anillo de oro de la novia resaltara. Así que Daniel hizo el cambio y Fernando y su prometida, Amanda, le pidieron que por los celos, diciendo que hacía sentir insegura a la novia, así que la cosa no termina ahí, a Daniel le cancelaron la invitación a la boda debido a que las reacciones negativas en las redes sociales. Pero aquí está el truco. Daniel había prometido pagar por el pastel de bodas y no pensaba echarse atrás. Al fin del cuento, Daniel se comió el pastel. Y ahora vamos a los deportes con Ian Dumas. And now, let's go to the sports with Ian Dumas.
Welcome back to the first run of the Red Wolf Rundown. That's right, the Golden Wolf Rundown is gone, and now I'm going to read you off the sports for the Red Wolf Rundown. It's May 1st, folks. Men's track and field and women's track and field got themselves a competition. They're at championships over in Stevenson. What fun stuff. Have fun in Maryland. That's a 1 p.m. start, so we're kind of closing in on that time right now. Softball's also got a game at Messiah. They're at the MAC Championships. That's in Grantham, PA. That starts at 3:30, and that closes out the day. It's a pretty light day here, May 1st. May 2nd, softball's continuing their quest for the championships back in Grantham. That's going to be a 12 p.m. or 2 p.m. start. This is all very tentative, and they don't have their opponents set yet. So we'll see what that looks like tomorrow. Women's and men's track and field are doing their second day of championships. Let's hope they can keep the run running. And that's going to be a 9 a.m. start in Stevenson again. Baseball has themselves a game against York. That's the championships. It'll be happening in York, PA. That's a 3:30 start. And that's going to shift us into May 3rd. Men's golf will start their run for a MAC championship. Men's golf has looked great this year. And, that's going to be happening in Fleetwood, PA. Time yet to be determined, but they're going to be on the greens for a long while. Baseball's going to have their game against York. Once again, that's going to be a 12 p.m. start, and if needed, they will go to 3:30 as well for a second game. Women's and men's track and field do their third day of championships at Stevenson. That's a 12 p.m. start. And to end it off, on May the 4th, men's golf MAC championship in Fleetwood and Star Wars Day. Now, I'm going to have Matt and Tony join me for Off the Bench.
Off the bench. Get in there.
Well, thanks for coming back, guys. Matt, did you see that fight on top of the Sydney Opera House? My first ever. I won 11 rounds.
You won 11 rounds, Ian? Who were you fighting in that?
I was fighting, I'm not going to name names, but I'm going to drop this one. Professor Chris Shipley. It was for a bet, okay? It was a small bet that we had. I won't disclose who the winner was. You can all go watch it. It was for a charity event that we did. Student versus professor.
Yeah, did you roid up before the fight,
No.
Get a little steroids in there, that's the only way you think you could win, Ian? You know what? I think there's only one way to settle this. If we take these mics off and me and you just go fist to fist right now, just fighting,
I might have to change the name of the segment to Clear the Benches instead of Off the Bench.
All right,
if we're going to do that.
Well, let's forget about Ian's, whatever that was, boxing fight. We all know he'd lose in a round to me, but albeit. So, the NHL, NBA first rounds are going on. What teams kind of surprised you? In the East, every team in the NHL is done. I'm almost, besides the Leafs and Senators, almost every team in the NBA is done. So just what has kind of surprised you in both those, Tony?
Well, I just think the Lightning losing 4-1 to the Panthers, I really think that they had a little bit more to give. I'm surprised they got bounced that early. And in the NBA, the Lakers losing to the Timberwolves, Lakers in 5. Flip that the other way around. I mean, I don't know. LeBron just seemed gassed, the whole team. I mean, J.J. Redick playing the whole team the entire second half of Game 3 when there's still a whole series to play. It showed a lack of experience in the coaching aspect, but yeah.
The Lakers have disappointed me. You have no center. You're relying on LeBron James, who's like 43 now. What the heck? You decided to buy up every great player, and you couldn't make it past the first round. How is that possible? Like, I'm just curious. You're spending so much money on these players, and you can't even put up a first-round win. You can't win that series. I'm just utterly disgraced. And you thought bring Bronny James in would be the greatest thing of all time. Let me play with LeBron. Let's do this duo thing here. We're going to win it. So, my 2 cents on the Lakers there. But, as for the NHL, I would say Winnipeg Jets have disappointed me. You should have swept the Blues. You're playing Jordan Binghamton. Of all goalies that you can get, that you can lose to, you lose to Jordan Binghamton. Connor Hellebuck got pulled. How are you a Vezina Trophy contender? But that's my 2 cents. As for the Eastern Conference, other than the Tampa match, every other one has gone to my expectation.
So, you gave up 4 cents there. And Ian, honestly, I'm not understanding you. Jordan Binghamton won a Stanley Cup. Connor Hellebuck is a perennial playoff choker. So I don't know where this hate of Jordan Binghamton is coming from. I think that, you need to calm down a little. You need to take a chill pill and really reset. But, again, the Lakers, like you said, just horrible. Everything's just been disappointing with them. And then in the NHL, the Leafs and the Senators going 3-2. If the Leafs blow that series, that would certainly be something.
Yeah, that would be.
And then just to finally end it off here, Tony, who's your winners and losers of the NFL draft?
Winners, Patriots. They get offensive line help. Kyle Williams, underrated receiver out of Washington State. And they get Travion Henderson at running back. And Browns drafting 2 quarterbacks who I don't even think are that good. And then you draft 2 running backs that are probably the same talent. And you trade and you don't get Travis Hunter. I know Mason Graham's great, but they don't know what they're doing over there.
I think the Commanders did a great job using all 5 of their picks to the best of their ability. I mean, they got pieces that they definitely needed. And then I think the Cleveland Browns did it very, getting the 2 quarterbacks is definitely an interesting move, but I have to admit, they got some work to play out with here, and they can really pick out a quarterback. As for the Kansas City Chiefs, complete disappointment. I mean, they got nobody. I'm not going to even lie. I mean, come on, Shipley. Showing up in here with a Kansas City hat right now, I would not be proud of myself.
Ian, once again, you leave me speechless as you talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. Why wouldn't you be proud to be a Chiefs fan? They've won a ton of Super Bowls. Their draft is pretty good. But I got to agree with Tony. The Browns draft is horrible, Ian. I don't know why you said it wasn't horrible. You took Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
What's going on there? You took 2 running backs. What's going on there?
I mean,
what do you possibly think they did good in that draft?
Well, I mean, maybe the last time they had a good QB. I mean, you have to play with optionality.
They just had Baker Mayfield and got rid of him. The Browns are an inept organization. I don't know how you think getting Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders is a plus.
Optionality.
Optionality.
No. They have 4 quarterbacks on the roster. None of them are clear starters.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Deshaun Watson. He should be in jail. Who knows what's going on with him? Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel. I don't understand your rationale here, Ian.
Well, if you want to pack a punch, I guess you got to draft.
But they drafted horrible. What do you mean they got to pack a punch? What do you mean?
I mean, they can only go higher ceiling from here. You can't go any lower than the Browns right now.
I don't know.
I think you can go lower. I mean, like what? I'm so confused on your rationale here.
It's okay, Matt. You can be confused about my rationale.
I would like an explanation on it, though, but,
I gave you one.
Well, all right, fair enough. Thanks for tuning in here. This was our final episode of Off the Bench. We thank you all for, watching us go back and forth. We apologize that you had to listen to Ian Dumas. Ian Dumas. I had to put in a pun there, sorry, but thank you all for tuning in.
For our final Off the Bench, that was certainly interesting there by Matt. He went both off the cuff and he cleared the benches on me. Anyways, time for a moment with. I'd like to thank Matt and Tony for once again joining me for the final time on our sports segment, and now for another special in-studio segment of A Moment With.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Of course, joining me, I have Caroline. She is a field hockey captain, a sophomore, a star-studded student, as well as also someone who I think had a really great season, 29 points, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
That's wild. So, obviously, you're not far into this. You're actually a sophomore captain, which is quite impressive. But, since freshman year, how has your approach to this game kind of changed?
Definitely going in less nervous and having an understanding of what's expected from me helps a lot versus coming in as a freshman and being super nervous and not knowing the team too well. Yeah.
Your sophomore season, which part of your game would you say you're focused on improving right now? Obviously, you have a whole lot of other things to focus on, being captain and all, but whenever you get time to improve your own game, what's your main focus right now on that?
Well, as an offensive player, definitely my defensive skills are not where I want them to be. So during the off season, I'm definitely going to focus on playing more defense and setting up those drills versus just shooting and doing what I normally do all the time.
Might just create a new position there for us. So, we're going to improve our defense. And I think the other thing, too, that's really unique about you is, academically, you're highly honored within, of course, what was the honor? Academic?
National Academic Squad.
That's pretty impressive. So, how do you balance that, right? You have a major here at college, you're captaining a squad in the fall, and you're playing the sport. How do you balance that all?
Well, I try and do my homework during the day, so after my classes, and then I dedicate around 3 hours every day to study and do my homework. And then when practice time does come, I can still go to practice and do what I have to do and be fully immersed in that setting rather than just thinking about my academics all the time.
Certainly a recipe for success. Moving on to the final question, there's probably a lot of role models on your team in your freshman year and now. Who would you say is one of those role models for you? And, what did you learn from them as a sort of mentor?
I would look up to the four captains, Gianna de Gregory, can I re-say that?
Yep.
Gianna de Gregory and Lexi Botcher. Lexi was an education major, so she really guided me through starting the education process, and also they taught me how to have a better attitude overall.
And circling back, biggest challenge so far, it's such a tough question, right, overall, but...
My biggest challenge... Gosh, I don't even know. What is my biggest challenge?
Well, if not your biggest challenge, what's been your biggest success so far, right? You're 2 years in now.
My biggest success is probably just showing up, playing, and being the person that I want to be on the field, along as getting along with all of my teammates and making sure everybody is doing what they're supposed to do and excited to be there.
Of course. I think, this is just one of a last wrap-up question, but what's it like going from being a teammate to now being a captain, right? And obviously, it's a whole new elevated role, and you're not on the same level, obviously, your teammates probably, because there's a little bit more, I don't want to say level of authority, but level of leadership in there. How do you kind of keep all that going?
Well, it's been definitely a challenge, learning leadership and keeping everybody in check, but overall, everyone listens. I think we all have a good process of understanding each other and just encouraging each other along.
That's all certainly amazing. I was joined by Caroline here. She is star-studded. I'd like to thank you for coming on for our final segment of A Moment With.
It's been a pleasure.
And what a way to take it out.
Thank you.
And that has been the last episode of the Alvernia Campus Show, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in every episode for this past season. It's been an honor and a joy working with this cast and everyone involved. Have a great rest of your year and summer. Bye.
Please don't cancel us. This episode.
Sweet 16 range.
And honestly, at this point, I don't think even Gru could top her record.
West Virginia University football coach Rich Rodriguez has officially put his foot down right on his players' dance moves.
My big upset has to be Robert Morris. If we can't get a local team gotta support Pittsburgh team. I mean, that's only one.
Sorry, I just came from the shuttle.
From McDonald's employees to factory workers, this is a small change for McDonald's as their current staff is already robotic.
The Alex Ovechkin.
Whoa, wait. I have one thing for you. Oh, I just have to, lay this out in front of you here. Sorry. Thank you. Who do we have?
In New Zealand. The blobfish, which has a squishy, mushy appearance, appears normal in its deep sea environment, but deforms when it is brought to the surface. A local radio ad helped propel it to victory. Looks like being ugly pays off. Maybe I'll have to enter into a beauty contest myself.
Spoiler.
I do have Louisville going to the Final Four. They haven't beaten really any good teams all year.
They've been terrible.
But this is when legends are made.